Welcome back, everybody. In this week's video, we are going to talk about 7 wheel throwing ergonomic pottery tips that are going to help your body and your back feel better. So if that's something that you want to learn about, stick around and find out what they are. Happy New Year, everybody. And we are back for another great year of ceramic videos. And I wanted to kick off this new 2026 year with wheel throwing ergonomics. And for those who are just learning, that is awesome. Hopefully your back doesn't go through the same things that my back has. And if you have been throwing for a while, hopefully this video will help you improve your posture and improve your wheel throwing so that you don't have pain after you do something that you're learning and that you are starting to become passionate about. And so we're going to talk about these 7 ergonomic tips and just a little history about myself and my wheel throwing. I'm 36 years old, turning 37 this year, and I've been throwing for over 20 years. And in over those 20 years, my back has progressively gotten worse, not only from my age, but my lack of exercise as I became a dad to 2 wonderful children, and just the demands that the wheel throwing puts on you as you do it more and more throughout your career. And these tips I have for you, I hope can help your body feel better so you don't feel the pain after every throwing session. Because there's nothing worse than feeling really sore and not wanting to throw because of that pain. And before we get started with the tips, I just want to let you guys know that I am recovering from a cold. I'm going to be coughing throughout this filming. And so if you see some jump cuts or some weird edits, that's me taking out my coughing. So you don't hear that on the mic. So just to preface that before we jump in. So tip number 1 that I have is making sure that your body is as even and as square to the pottery wheel whenever you throw. So what I mean by that is making sure that when you sit, you're sitting as close as you can to the wheel. Your legs are at even distances apart. They pretty much line up. And your leg should bend into a 90-degree angle, as you can see here, so that you are the most stable and you are the most comfortable when you throw. And when you are throwing, you should have your elbows locked into your legs like this, so that when you throw, you're hunched over and you can really put that pressure into the clay. Now, that bent over position is really bad for your back, and it's probably the worst ergonomics when it comes to wheel throwing. And we'll talk about how to fix that at the end of the video. But this tip will help make sure that your body's balanced, because if you sit at the pottery wheel for a long period of time and you have one leg higher, one leg out, one arm like this, or your body's just not straight as possible, you're going to feel that the more you throw like that. And so having your body as square, as even, as level as possible will help make sure that your body can keep throwing for prolonged periods of time without feeling that achiness of unbalancedness. And in general, when your body's balanced and centered, your throwing actually becomes a little better. Tip number 2 is an add-on to tip number 1, and that's making sure that your legs are the exact same height. And you might be wondering, well, yeah, duh, it should be. But one thing you forget is that your pedal, when your foot's on it, is going to be a different height than your other foot. And if you like to have your foot on the pedal at all times, which I do recommend, you are going to be throwing with your arms at different heights and your legs at different heights. So that means when you're applying pressure to the wheel, you're going to have to compensate for that off-balancedness, and it's going to put a lot more strain on your back and your core because it's not applying the same pressure. And you may not feel it on the first session or third or fourth, but down the line, you probably will start feeling it, and you may not know that it's actually from the pottery wheel. And so the tip that I have to help counteract that off-balancedness is get an object, in this case, a brick, so that you can put your other foot on it so that your legs are going to be the same height. So that when you put your elbows on your legs, it just feels a lot more natural, and it just doesn't feel like you are crooked. And some of the studios that I've taught at, they don't have this brick under. Some of the potters that I see on Instagram and social media, they don't have this object underneath. And it's a really simple fix that will go a long way. And the height of the brick or object should be roughly the same height as your pedal. So if you look at the two, they're more or less the same. My legs are the same. You can see that they are touching the inside of the splash pan, so that when I throw now, I'm a lot more centered. Tip number 3 I have is chair placement and chair height. And so the placement of your chair, I recommend, should be as close to the pottery wheel as possible, so that you don't really need to bend over as much. If you have it further back and you're throwing, you're gonna have to bend over far more to get to that center of your wheel. So get as close to the pottery wheel as possible so that your body can be square and aligned, your legs can be a nice even height, and then you can lock in your legs to your arms for stability. So 1, 2, and 3 all kind of work together. Chair height is all dependent on how high your wheel is, how tall you are, and just the chair itself. And so I do recommend getting a adjustable chair like this one made by Shimple. And this one is awesome because they have these little height adjusters. You can pop those pegs in, pull it out, and change the height on a whim. And it really is a nice way to adjust. And I've seen some potters, they like throwing with it off, where the back is taller than the front. And that way, their body is already more into the clay. And so play around with the chair height and the chair placement that best suits your body and see which works the best to you. And I really like these Shimple wheels. They're nice, they're soft, they have some nice fabric on here, and they're adjustable. Sadly, in the US with the tariffs, these wheels jumped up to almost double the price. But if you're interested in it, I can drop a link down below if you want to purchase one yourself. And I do like them. And if I had my choice, I would get rid of all of these older chairs here with the tennis balls. But you know how it goes with funding. Sometimes we can't get everything that we need. All right, number 4 is water placement and height. Normally on a pottery wheel like this, you have the water either on the left or the right of your center, and you're leaning over and you are bending for that water. Now, every time you lean, then you bend, that puts more stress on your lower back, causing more pain that can occur because you're constantly moving back and forth. Especially if you don't tighten that core, it's a lot of strain on your back. And so the first fix I have to help the water placement be more ergonomic for you is to get an object, put it underneath your water so it elevates it, so that when you are bending over to get to your water, you don't have to bend as far. And you can see the difference. I have the 2 waters placed as an experiment. I'm going to put my hands equally spaced apart. I'm going to bend over to get to the first one. This hand's still too high. I'm going to have to bend a little further. So you can see from here to here, it's an extra 2 or 3 inches to get to there. So just by elevating the water a little bit, you don't have to bend over as much. And you can elevate it even higher if you want, so you don't have to bend as further down. You just have to remember whatever you put underneath the bucket needs to be stable. However, I have an even better tip, and that is to set up a stool or something close to you so that you don't even need to bend over. So what I mean is you get like another chair like this one, put your water on that, and when you throw, you need to get water, dip your hand in there. If that's too low, put an object underneath and elevate that even more. So that now when I'm throwing and I need to get some water, I don't even need to bend over as much. So even like that, it's a lot of reaching, right? But over here, it's just right there. If you want it a little closer to you, you could put it this. So when you're throwing, you just dip your hand in there. It's much better than trying to reach over and get further. So water placement, so you're not hunching over and reaching, because that motion right there is going to put a lot of strain on your lower back. So water placement and height is something that you can definitely change to help your body and your efficiency when you throw.
Number 5.
Very similar to the water placement is your tool placement. So oftentimes your tools are placed in front of you like that, and you're gonna have to lean over and grab them as you need them. And so if you can change the placement and put it closer to you, like this 3D printed tool holder, and you put it in a place that's easier for you to reach, when you throw, water, tools, you don't really need to lean forward as much to grab things. And if you don't have access to a 3D printer, you can easily make a tool holder with a pool noodle that you cut to a designated size, put little slits in it, and you put it on top of your splash pad. And sadly, I don't have mine because I left it at home, but if that's something that you want to see, I can make a little video on it, a little short about it to make it a little easier for you guys to understand. All right, tip number 6 I have is to stretch. As you're throwing, it's always good to just lean back, decompress, arch your body, rotate at the hips to get a stretch. If you really need to, you can do some yoga poses, downwards dog, cat cows. In the pottery studio, that might be a little weird. You might be that weird person that does yoga, but who cares? It's about your body and making yourself feel better. Now, if that makes you feel weird, you can definitely do it later on at the end of the day when you're at home in the privacy of your own space. And that's something that I started to do a lot more as I was getting more and more back pain, not only from the wheel, but from various things in life, like doing things around the house, moving, picking up stuff. And so the yoga has really helped me and my back feel a lot better in the long run. So stretching, I feel, is so important to wheel throwing. And not only that, but in general, just having more mobility in your body, especially when you do something as bad for your body as wheel throwing, will go a long way. And one thing to keep in mind is as you throw, it's always good to stand up and then just walk around. Don't stay stationary too long, because when you do, your body can lock up. And so I would say every 30-ish minutes or so, stand up, walk around, wash your hands, take a break, and just take a little time off so you're not just hunched over in the same stance, same bent over position for hours on end. And now, my most important tip of the entire video, and everything will actually help reduce that back bending, back straining, is wheel height. Now, the wheel height can be raised so that you don't have to bend over as much, but not all wheels can lift up as easy. The wheels that have these tripod, these metal legs, are much easier to lift up because you can put bricks under them, like the wheel that I usually throw at. And so the easiest way to lift up a wheel that has a tripod layout is you just get bricks, and you just take the brick and then you lift up one leg, put it underneath. Then you get the next brick, lift it up, put it underneath, and then you go to the other side and you lift it up and put it underneath. And just by doing that, the wheel is already higher up and you're not bending over as much. And if you want to take it a step further, you can put 2 bricks underneath it, like the wheel that I've been using for all the throwing videos that you've been seeing. But if you are in a studio or a class or your house that has one of these types of wheels that are just a straight box, they're a little harder to prop up because you can't really put bricks underneath those legs as easy. You'd have to lift the whole thing up and build a table or put cinder blocks under. And in a studio or a pub or a classroom, that may not be the easiest thing to do. And so for this wheel, a lot of studios have these tripod types of wheels. The easiest way to lift this up in a common space is just get bricks because they're fairly cheap. You could leave them under the wheel because I'm pretty sure most studios wouldn't mind that. And you can lift and lower the wheel based on how tall you are. And so wheel height, this Pacifica wheel is about 19 inches tall here. So that when I sit at it and I put my legs up against it, it's at about the bend of my knee. Now, if we go over to this other Shimpo wheel, this is the most similar to the Shimpo Arcade Whisper on the market. The pedal's attached to the wheel, and with my feet on the bricks and the pedal, and I start bending over, the splash pan is basically at the bottom of my knee. And so those two wheels are different in about 1.5 inches in height. So when it comes to wheel height, you should lift it as high as you can. That's most comfortable for your body. And if you can lift it all the way up so you can throw standing up, that's probably the best for your back and your body as possible. And so you can see between the two wheels that I have, it's a pretty big difference in height. So we're going to go ahead and shift to my normal wheel so that you can see the difference in comparison when I bend over and hunch. And I'm going to bring all those tips I have to this to really tie in everything so that you can see how much less my back is bending. All right, I just shifted the camera over from that spot to right in front of my usual wheel. And you can see that the splash pan is at my belly button. My legs are off the camera. You can't even see them, but this is the top of my legs right here. Compared to the other wheel, it was right here. And so when I'm throwing, I really can't put my arms on my legs. So I had to relearn throwing a little bit, but the amount I need to bend over now is much less. And I brace up against the splash pan now. And if I turn my body this way so you can see how much my body bends, on this wheel, my body would bend about this much when I'm centering throwing. Not that much. But when I shift to the height of this one, you can see that my back bends a lot more. So if you can get your wheel lifted higher, then your body will thank you. Now you will need to relearn some of the basics again, but it shouldn't be that bad because your back is a lot more important than struggling a little bit with relearning how you throw. So I'm going to bring everything back from there over to here. I'm going to adjust the camera angle so you can kind of see how I set up my wheel when I throw. So here is my setup when I throw with my elevated wheel and the water placement, the tool placement, and just the ergonomics that works best for me at a sitting wheel. So the wheel itself is around 27 inches tall. The splash pan is lined up with my belly button. I have the splash, I have my water easily accessible to my right. On a bat where I can place my sponge, I have the tools easily accessible to my left because I am left-handed. And when I throw, I'm just going to be leaning forward about that much. And I can still throw really tall pieces. And if it goes too tall, I would just need to stand up at that point. And so I find this best of both worlds where I can still throw short production style and very tall pieces without really having to change the height of the wheel. Now, standing wheels, like I said before, would be the best for your back because you're standing, you're upright, you're not hunched over as much, but you cannot throw really tall pieces because you'd have to then stand on a chair to throw on a standing wheel, which is not the most safe thing to do. So this is my setup. You can see everything is an easily reachable spot. I can actually throw more upright too, where I don't really need to rest my arms on something. And so if you can throw upright with your posture like this, that will make your throwing less harmful for your overall body. Now, I have a bonus tip for you folks. And this is the tip that my wife has been trying to drive home to me the most. And that is to just work out. If you can strengthen your body, strengthen your core, strengthen your back, your lower back, your hamstrings, your butt, your whole basically lower torso of your body will be so much stronger. And all that bending you undergo shouldn't put that much strain on you. And like I said before, we had our kids about 4 years ago. And ever since then, that's when my back pain has started to jump up because my working out has gone down. And even though my brain still thought that I could still throw and do the same things that my previously body could do, it couldn't. It couldn't keep up. And so I finally started working out again back in October. And I've been getting into kettlebell workouts. And there are a lot of videos on the benefits of kettlebells and workout routines and things like that. And if you guys want me to talk a little more about that and how it really has improved my posture, my body, my strength, and just my overall energy, I can make a little video on that a little later. But stay working out with what you can. Strengthen that back, strengthen that hip, strengthen all those moving parts below your chest. And the amount of bending over shouldn't matter too much. So working out is probably the biggest thing you can do to help your overall body when it comes to throwing. The next thing that you can do is lifting your wheel up, because that will just make the amount of bending over you do a lot less. And then just shift things to help make it so you're not bending over as much. Because bending over is the #1 reason why your ergonomics is bad when it comes to wheel throwing. So I hope you learned something new in this video. I've been rambling way too long about this, and I hope that you can pull little bits and pieces from this video to make your wheel throwing more enjoyable and less painful as we enter this new year. And I'm really excited for what 2026 will unfold. This channel really blew up over the past year in 2025. And I'm so excited to see what can happen with this community and you folks as supporters of this little extra hobby that I have now. So we'll just stop it right there. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.